I know a lot of us are still divided on the homage front, but I'm a true believer in the fact that if you recreate something well enough, it can really bring back that old, almost forgotten legend to the forefront of our memories. I think that's exactly what Specht and Sohne have done with their homage to the Royal Chronometer, and at around 500 times cheaper than the Vacheron. I think it's a real winner. Hi guys, my name is Jason and I am your watch guy today. Today we have a reimagined version of the Vacheron 2215, a watch that would set you back around 34k on the open market. Let's be honest, probably worth every penny too. But the common watch collector like myself doesn't have that type of money to splash on a watch. Specht and Sohne have the answer to that with their homage. Their Aliexpress store is linked in the description if you're interested in this piece. Let's get into it. Now I know a lot of you will be thinking instantly that this is actually a homage to the main Manhattan. What we have to remember is they probably got their inspiration from somewhere, and I think it's here. The colours that Specht and Sohne have introduced to this line are absolutely spectacular. The grape dial really does modernise this piece for me, and it's a fantastic twist on the original. There are other dial options available if you're not interested in this one. Certainly more classic options, but you know me and I love a little bit of colour. The texture of this dial is also another level and definitely not something that you expect at this type of price point. Certainly not from an Aliexpress brand. It's an almost guilloche type of pattern throughout, with the addition of distinct lineal sections. If I was going to give you a singular selling point to this watch, it would definitely be that dial. However, let's have a little look around the casing and that finish. We do have a slightly more irregular finish to the side profiles of the piece, with the central points being brushed, and towards the drilled lugs we have high polished finishes. The top of the bezel is heavily brushed, and that flows in to the upper side of the casing, and it gives a really nice distinction to the high polished accents to the casing, including the bezel and the main profile of the case. Unfortunately, the crown isn't signed, but it does have a good level of grip and screws into the case. The edges of the casing are chamfered with a high polished finish to give a little bit more of a distinct and refined look. Don't worry, I will get to the dimensions shortly, but let's talk about the rest of these specifications. The crystal is sapphire. It is a flat piece, but it definitely gives a more sleek look to the profile overall. As well as that, for $80, sapphire crystal is definitely a good way to go. With that in mind, if you love to see affordable alternatives and you've liked what you've seen so far, please go below and take the time to subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate it. You'll see more of my content that way. The case back is a screw down case back, and it displays that really reliable workhorse of a movement, the NH35 that we all know so well. Obviously nowhere near the level of the 2215, but it'll definitely do for us. Okay, let's get back to this dial. Obviously, I've already said that this is definitely the selling point to the watch, and I definitely stand by that. The indices are applied throughout with double batons at the 12 o'clock. The minute track is printed to the outer edge of the dial, and it is quite legible. The 6 o'clock has been replaced with a really bold date window. I'm not too sure if I think it's more bold than average, or it actually is, because this is a much slimmer case profile and dial than we are used to. It has a stainless steel effect border, which definitely highlights it and distinguishes it between the rest of the indices. The Specht and Sohne logo is printed to the upper section of the dial in a very simplistic type of manner. All of the markings are loomed in the center, as well as that very simple baton handset. That is matched up with a pencil thin second hand, which reaches really well to the dial markings. As I said, this is loomed, but we are looking at the standard level of Aliexpress loom on this one, very much in a similar manner to Pagani Design or Cadison. Not exactly the Swiss standard that we'd like. This being an integrated style bracelet, the bracelet is always going to be a very important part of the watch and its appearance overall. And with that said, it is definitely a very nice extension to the piece. It tapers towards the butterfly clasp, which definitely makes a much cleaner fit to wrist. This is a H-style bracelet with the links being highly brushed and accented with the central parts of those links being high polish. We all know that I really do like a H-link bracelet. I think it always provides a really nice fit to wrist. That being said, this is a butterfly clasp, and we know that I'm not the biggest fan of them. With that in mind, I understand why it's being used on this one, especially with this type of style of watch. On wrist, I've got to say that it's a really nice fit. I have been wearing this one in and out of the rotation to get a really good feel of it, and I've got to say, even though I'm not a fan of the butterfly clasp, it's not as bad as some that I have experienced, and that may be objective to different sized wrists, but for me, I quite like it. Obviously, it's a really good looking little piece, and for $80, it's not a bad buy. It's doing a hell of a lot of things right, but there are definitely some improvements that I would like to see. For instance, the index markers aren't the right fit for me. I understand that they're trying to stick towards that 2215 type of style, but I think a much bolder or even baton style index would have been a better fit to the watch. For me personally, the squares don't really work. Secondly, again, the butterfly clasp. I just wish that I didn't have so many watches come in with butterfly clasps, because I feel like it's a way that brands are going for a much easier design to the bracelet, but I'd love to see some adjustment on the clasp itself or some mid links to get a nicer fit for everyone. Finally, it's a pretty mad concept that they've gone with a screw down crown and a screw down case back, but this still only comes in at 50 meters water resistant. I just don't think that that cuts it for those type of specifications. And I don't know what's gone wrong while putting it together, but 50 meters doesn't make sense to me. I understand that it's a dress aesthetic piece, but surely more could have been done and pushed it into that more sports style watch of 100 meters water resistant. I'd really like to know your opinion on this. Obviously, a homage to such a luxury piece is a fantastic alternative to something that is pretty much unreachable to the common person, and is it something that you could see in your baskets? If so, the link is in the description. Head over to Aliexpress and remember to use as many coupons as you possibly can to get the best deal you possibly can. Thanks for watching today, guys. Obviously, I really appreciate it, and I'd really appreciate it if you could go down below and subscribe to the channel. You'll get much more of this type of content, especially from me. If this is one that you could see yourself picking up, let me know which dial color you would go for, because obviously you know that I like a little bit of color, but it'd be nice to hear from people that like a more classic look, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.